Hello Yamaha friends and family, Scott Newby here for another riveting episode of Yamaha Live to talk all things Yamaha, including but not limited to our proven off-road vehicles, Yamaha genuine parts and accessories, a look at how our vehicles are tested, developed, and designed to realize your adventure, and so much more. I know it's been a while since we met last, and I do apologize for that, but we've been wide open. In fact, one of our recent trips was with the 6 lucky winners of the amazing ride in Gateway Canyon, where we explored Colorado and Utah in a fleet of Rmax 1000s alongside the winning Yamaha customers. I'll touch on that more in a future episode. For tonight, we are very excited to go over the newly launched 2022 products we released earlier today. But before we delve into the models, I want to talk about this year's Yamaha Xtr Challenge. As I'm sure you've seen or heard by now, Loretta Lynn's ranch in the town of Waverly, Tennessee was devastated a few weeks back by massive flooding, causing a great deal of damage. Considering that, we are postponing the Xtr Challenge to focus our efforts on heading to Waverly with a team of Yamaha employees to help Loretta Lynn's ranch and the surrounding community recover. We'll provide information in the coming weeks on the updated Xtr Challenge timing, but in the meantime, please join us in keeping the town of Waverly and our friends at Loretta Lynn's ranch in your thoughts. One last thing before we begin, we're still giving away a new Yamaha EF2200 IS generator this year to one lucky Yamaha Live viewer. So if you want a chance to win, share the live feed, the video after, and please drop a comment to let us know how you would realize your adventure with an EF2200 in style. And now on to what y'all have been waiting for, our main event. To help me talk about the 2022 models that were announced today, I'd like to bring back everyone's favorite ATV and side-by-side testing manager here at Yamaha, Mr. Patrick Bielsi. Pat, welcome.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, I'm excited to be back, and especially to talk about these the new 2022 stuff.
Heck yeah. So, greatly appreciate it. For today, we wanted to give a brief overview of the enhancements and changes to models announced earlier today, in addition to a deeper look and chat on the new Wolverine Rmax 1000 Sport that you see here behind me. And Pat, please feel free to jump in, make any comments on the vehicles we're going to go over here too before we get into the sport. So first, we're going to start with our ATVs, with our utility and recreational lineup. Starting with the Grizzly models, we have the Grizzly Xtr in the tactical black carbon metallic color scheme, the SE with the matte silver, and then our standard versions are in the armor gray and yellow color combinations, along with a Realtree Edge camo. Moving on to our Kodiak 700, the non-EPS and the EPS versions get both the tactical green and a fall beige Realtree camo color option, and then our SE gets the tactical black as well. Going into the 450s, we have the non-EPS in a new steel blue, a tactical green, and then fall beige Realtree camo as well. The EPS models get tactical green and the camo option too, as well as in the SE coming in that steel blue color. For youth ATVs, the Grizzly 90 is in that great armor gray, and the Raptor 90 YFZ 50 are in the color combo where you either have the Team Yamaha blue or the white color options. Moving on to our side-by-sides, in the Viking lineup, for our standard versions, we have the tactical green and Realtree Edge camo. And then with our ranch editions, we have the copper metallic. And then new for this year too, we added that nice Rmax 1000 style rear view mirror in the inside. For the Wolverines, the X2 and the X4 and the Xtr package both come in that tactical black carbon metallic color. And then we also added the rear view mirror to both of those versions. And then with the X4, you also get the new sun top that's added to it. With the R-Spec X2 and X4, they have the armor gray yellow color options there too. And then for the Wolverine X4, you get the front KYB piggyback shocks as well as a sun top added for 2022. In the Wolverine Rmax 4 1000s, same XTR tactical black carbon metallic color. And then new for 2022, you also get the door speaker audio system added to that Rmax 4 1000 XTR. In the LE version, you also get the second row audio speakers, which we'll go into here. We have one right behind us now. Another nice new addition to that LE package. Moving on to the R-Spec version, new for this year, in that armor gray yellow color, you get the sun top added to it as well. For Rmax 2s, tactical black carbon metallic in the XTR, and then for the XTR as well, you have the door speaker audio system, and then one of the firsts on Wolverines, 14-inch bead lock wheels added to that one. In the LE, that great matte silver color, and then the R-Spec gets the armor gray and yellow as well. And now, of course, the main one we're here to dig into is the Rmax 2 1000 Sport, which comes in Team Yamaha blue, which is a great color, kind of going back to our livery and heritage. So Pat, with the new Sport model, what were some of the key targets initiatives that you had during development of it?
Well, we'll go back to the original Rmax, the Rmax 2. We got Fox 2.0 QS3 shocks on the base model and the XTR model. And even the IQS system, we really wanted to focus give people a ton of travel, which they do, 14.2 inches in the front, 16.9 inches in the back, which is class leading and works really well in a wide variety of terrain. But the adjustment is pretty simple. You've got overall spring preload and 1, 2, 3, soft, medium, hard when it comes to damping adjustments. And that really worked for most of our Rmax customers. But there are a handful, or maybe more than a handful, that we think would appreciate another level of adjustment, very similar to what we do on our YXZ Sport models. So that's what we did on the new Rmax 1002 Sport, was we added a C2 or a Fox 2.0 C2 shock. C2 stands for compression 2. So there's two types of compression damping, high and low speed. If you go to a YXZ, for example, we call those RC2s, or Fox calls them RC2s. Rebound, single speed, C2. So you've got high and low speed compression damping. So these are C2s. There's no rebound adjuster on here, but you've got dual speed compression damping adjustability, plus you have an adjustable crossover ring. And what we're really looking to do is we did a lot of testing on the western US, Rocky Mountain area, the southwest US, and what we found is a lot of those mountain trails, and there's a lot of sand, a lot of decomposed granite, it gets whooped out. So even if you're not blasting across the desert, trying to go as fast as possible through deep whoops, we found that an Rmax customer still wants to go a little bit faster and can drive this vehicle a little bit faster over bigger bumps and have a lot more comfort, capability, and confidence to do that. This suspension setup, it's totally different from a spring rate and a damping curve standpoint compared to the standard Rmax. And what we found is you can hit those bumps at higher speeds. It's going to resist bottoming, especially in the rear, a lot more than the other one, than the standard model, and especially in the front too. And that adjustable crossover ring really gives you the capability to tune it exactly what you're looking for. Because everybody, especially in this class, they're maybe looking for a little bit more of a tuning capability, maybe like to come into a turn a little bit harder. They want the front end to stay a little more level, bite a certain way, and drive a little more aggressively through turns. And that probably brings us to the tires, which is, again, a totally new setup for us. We worked with GBC to develop, now it looks like a standard off-the-shelf TerraMaster, which is a very unique, very special tire in the aftermarket currently. A lot of people like it, but we actually worked with GBC to develop this TerraMaster uniquely for the Rmax 2 Sport. What it does, it maintains the 10-ply rating, which is awesome for flat resistance, excellent sidewall durability, but the side A and side B. So it comes with side A. Originally, GBC really wanted to focus on two different types of terrain, or two different terrain focuses. You know, you've got intermediate to soft with side A and intermediate to hard with side B. What they found is that customers really ended up choosing a different handling character based on what they like. So it didn't really have so much to do with terrain, even though it was kind of originally set up that way, versus what you like from a handling character standpoint. We found that side A worked best for us in a wide variety of terrain, especially in the western US when you get that sand and decomposed granite. This traction setup works really, really well. Excellent front traction, but it also breaks the rear loose very smoothly, very predictably, and gives us what we're looking for. It also works on the East Coast. We did some evaluation here in Georgia on the red clay. All that hard pack in side A still works very well over here. But if you want something different, if you want a different handling character, you get that with this. You've got to swap them over to side B. But we found side A has a really wide range, but it does give people, again, that kind of adjustability we gave them with the suspension. We gave them that with the tire too.
Yeah, and that's why. So from the factory, it does come with the side A option kind of pre-installed on it, if you will. But that is the great thing about the tires. Even though we say soft to intermediate to hard, I mean, it really is about the handling characteristics overall, which kind of lends to even the suspension too. As much as you can kind of fine tune it to how your riding style is, what you prefer and everything, you know, you can really customize the vehicle to your heart's content, if you will. And the great thing about that too is that with the suspension, you're also not sacrificing that slow speed comfort as well, which that's kind of one of our pillars too, is that we want to make sure that proven off-road capability, comfort, and confidence as well. So that's a great part about that.
Yeah, from a tuning perspective, we left the rear sway bar off. So again, the Rmax 2 is very unique in the market, and then it has a front sway bar, but no rear sway bar. And we kept that same philosophy here, which again, we found that the front works really well in a wide variety of situations, especially coming into turns. You don't have to wait for the front to settle, but the rear offers excellent comfort, excellent articulation, and all those low-speed terrains. You know, go to a place like Johnson Valley, you've got that great mix of high-speed desert terrain, but then of course the awesome rocky trails, super technical, and this thing has unmatched articulation feel, and it provides great traction through all those situations, all over those types of areas.
Yeah, no doubt about it, especially when out to Rubicon. I mean, we fully saw what the articulation can do on these vehicles, whether it's Rmax 1000 or Rmax 4 that we had out there. So great part of it. Plus, with the class-leading 1000 engine that's in there too, we still have D-mode, which is perfect when you're going to a variety of terrains all across the country. Is that if you want it in sport or trail or crawl, you've got pretty much whatever you need.
Yeah, the sport model, the settings are the same as the standard model, but again, we found that really people love that feature on their current Rmaxes. So we really wanted to maintain that. Even though this is sport, we didn't pigeonhole you into sport mode, because we found that, again, trail and crawl have a lot of benefits in all of those terrains, even if you're driving it with a sporty or more aggressive mindset.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, shoot, even though it says crawl, it does not necessarily mean you're going out to rock crawl all the time. I mean, like, we just used it a couple weeks ago out in Kentucky for a deer hunt, and, you know, if you just want to take like that little low bottom end hit out of it, you put it in crawl and you're just creepy crawling around camp or whatever you need to do. And same thing if you're just out on the normal trails, you know, if you're in a line of people or whatever, it's just that smooth ride overall. It just takes a lot of that bottom end hit out of it.
Yeah, and it's so smooth that it doesn't even upset the chassis in any way. When you apply the throttle, I use it a lot when I want to talk to my passenger. I'll flip it over to crawl just so it's, again, ultra smooth and I can talk to my passenger in a very calm, collected way.
And another nice thing too about it is that you're not losing any engine power. It just all depends on what the power curve looks like. So you're not like limiting top end power or anything like that. You still have it there and you're not sacrificing that at all.
It provides awesome flexibility. Like you said, if you get out of that technical terrain or that situation where you're in crawl and you give it wide open throttle, you're still going to get 100% of the throttle, 100% of the engine power all the time in all three modes, which again is really a benefit. And none of the other companies are really doing it that way out there that have an adjustable drive mode or things like that.
Yeah, and I think back when we were at Sand Hollow and you go through some spots, there'd be like real technical kind of rock crawly section, then it could just be like this little sandy wash that they go through. So instead of just having to worry about flipping through all the time, you just keep it in crawl mode or trail and crawl right through and then rip it up in the trails if you need to and then back to crawling again.
Yeah, and this vehicle is definitely an awesome setup for a place like Sand Hollow. And again, with that suspension adjustability we have, you know what I did mention earlier was with the two different compression damping adjustments, we've got 24 clicks of low speed compression damping, and we've got 2 full turns of high speed compression. So it's measured, or it's adjusted 2 different ways. With high speed, you measure the amount of turns. There's a hex, so it's kind of easy to do that way. You go by each turn, each point of the hexagon. That makes an easy way to count for you. And then of course on low speed side, you can use clicks or 24 clicks of adjustment. And again, the high speed is much more sensitive, so that's why you only have 2 full turns of adjustment. It really makes a big difference. So we generally adjust those in 1/8 or 1/4 turns maximum before you go out and evaluate and see what you like.
So yes, if you are going out to evaluate and figure out where do you even start on adjusting the suspension, what is the best reference to be able to do that? That comes with the vehicle, mind you.
Yeah, number one is look in your owner's manual.
Perfect.
Owner's manual's got a very good explanation of what the adjustments do and how to adjust them. But the great thing is, you know, we do our best. We really focus on what we think most customers are going to do, what the target customer is for this vehicle. We try to use it in that way and develop the best suspension setting for the widest range of people that we think are going to want the Rmax 1002 Sport. But of course, that's why we put that adjustment in there, is we know everyone's going to want, or a certain group of people are going to want a different flavor, different character. And what you may start with right off the bat is what kind of load are you going to put in the vehicle? Are you going to have you know, a big cooler in the cargo bed? Are you going to have a spare tire in there? Maybe some other accessories in the cargo bed area? So if you're going to add a lot of weight to the rear, you're going to want to add spring preload right from the start. That's going to really help maintain your ground clearance and give you all the stroke feeling you got when it was unloaded. We did set this vehicle up with that 150 pounds, which we started with the Rmax 2 earlier. Again, we found that most people do that. They're going to have about that amount of weight in their vehicles. So that's a great starting point. But if you go further than that, or you still want to add more and get more stroke feeling, more ground clearance feeling, then add overall spring preload to your rear shock. Again, on the front side, maybe you ride, again, with a place with a lot of G-outs, for example. Especially we see that a lot in the desert, where the rain washouts, G-outs, things like that, or any kind of dune area. G-outs are really notorious for a quick bottoming feeling, which can be really disconcerting. So you're going to add overall spring preload to that. And then if that doesn't give you what you want, then you're going to start with high-speed compression would be my recommendation. And then again, you're going to want to maintain comfort, of course, on the low-speed chop. So maybe you're going to add a little bit of low speed, or maybe back a little bit off if it gets too harsh. Because as you add spring preload, things can feel a little bit stiffer, a little bit harsher. You may want to back off your compression damping setting at that point. But those are good starting points. And then if you get really comfortable with what you're doing, you may want to start adjusting that crossover ring. So if you add overall spring preload, in the beginning you're going to move your crossover ring the same amount that you move your overall spring preload ring. So you're going to want to bring these two down at the same amount before as you get started.
Try to take a little inside scoop here.
All right.
All right.
So here's our overall spring preload lock ring, and then here's the crossover rings right here. There also are two rings, a lock ring and an adjuster ring. So in the beginning, again, if you're just starting out, you're going to want to bring both of these up or down together. And you've got about 10 millimeters in the front of adjustment and 15 millimeters in the back. The crossover rings, you've got about a 1/2 inch or 13 millimeters up or down as well. So in the beginning, I would start moving them the same amount and maintain, just see what that feels like, see what you like. But then as you really start to get to know your vehicle and really start to focus in on what type of terrain and what characteristic you're looking for, you can start to adjust that crossover ring independently of the overall spring preload and change the transition point between the tender spring and the mainspring. So that'll give you a different character as well. Things will get stiffer or softer depending on that transition point when you transition from the tender to the main, and vice versa, depending on what you're looking for. So that's something, again, a lot of people, again, that are standard Rmax customers, they're not looking for that level of adjustability, that level of fine tuning. We found that this customer does appreciate that crossover ring. So if you know what to do, this can really be a nice way to fine tune your ride.
And while we're in here, I'll just kind of show the difference in the tires here. So you can see the outside right now, we have the side A that's on there. So you have larger gaps between the tread, if you will. Then if you did reverse to side B there, the tread's kind of a little tighter and lesser voids, if you will, in between the tread.
Yeah, and you know, we can point out this is the first time we've had a bead lock from the factory on the Rmax. We did offer, and we still offer, fuel bead lock wheels that have been evaluated by us when you're looking for a terrain-specific tire. You know, we've got the EFX Motoclaw for intermediate terrain, the EFX Moto MTC for muddier, softer terrain, and the EFX Moto Hammer for hard terrain. But we didn't offer, this is actually the YXZ bead lock wheel. It's fully square setup, 6.5 inch wide wheel, 14 inch rim. Again, we really believe in the 14 inch rim. We feel like that gives us great sidewall durability and sidewall comfort. So we've got a 30 inch square setup with a 14 inch wheel. We feel like that gives us a great balance of comfort and sidewall durability. But this bead lock ring, again, a lot of the other bead locks, a lot of typical aftermarket bead locks, they really don't seal very well. You really have to stay on top of the bolt bead lock torque, and they leak air. This bead lock has gone through all of Yamaha's testing and works really well, maintains air pressure, and you can have a lot of confidence in how this bead lock's you can run, you know, if you unfortunately get a flat, you're gonna be able to get back to the truck, get back to camp, and make sure the bead stays on the wheel, which is key for maintaining and getting back home.
Yeah, no doubt. And that same tire setup and everything for the wheel at least comes on the XTR editions as well.
That's right.
So that's another nice benefit, just different look to it, different colored ring on it, but otherwise that same general idea, if you will.
Yeah, same benefit. It looks a little different style. It's got that gunmetal gray look to the bead lock ring. Exact same setup on the Maxxis Carnivores. Sorry, yeah, Maxxis Carnivores. Carnage on the 4-seater, Carnivore on the 2-seater.
Right on. And then, of course, a couple other things here we have on the Rmax 1000 Sport. Still have that automotive-inspired interior to it, so you have the driver and passenger both focused on comfort with those soft touch, the soft touch steering wheel and passenger handle. I'll kind of let you touch on that soft touch steering wheel because I know you love that one with the comfort grip to it.
It is my favorite steering wheel. It really lets you relax your hands, especially the kind of terrain that we're talking about with the Rmax Sport. You can really relax your grip, and it enhances your steering character. Thumbs up driving style. We went with a softer rubber overmolding compared to the YXZ for the Rmax. Same setup. really can relax your grip, gives you great traction, and it really is the best steering wheel out there. Gives you great feel, but then also is very solid feeling in that rougher terrain.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Another nice thing too is you have those inner and outer knee pads on the side, or on the inside, for both the driver and the passenger, which it sounds like it's something small, but it really is a nice feature to have, because you know, when you're sitting there riding all day, especially if you're going through some bumpy terrain and everything, I mean, you can feel that at the end of the day. I mean, if we were out on that Colorado ride where it was 2 days straight riding the entire day, if we didn't have those things on there, you'd definitely notice it the next morning.
Yeah, I've gotten great feedback on that so far. It's really fitting a lot of people. You know, we're really focused on tall people, shorter people, of course, people somewhere in the middle. It matches up. The pad doesn't look like it's that big. It wouldn't cover that many driver and passenger sizes, but we found we spent a lot of time evaluating with a lot of different body types and preferences, and found that it makes a big difference, like you said, especially on those longer rides in rougher terrain.
Yeah, and another thing to kind of add to that too is the Cut and Sew premium seats. I mean, those things are so comfortable, and I love the blue style that we have on the interior of the new Rmax 1000 Sport there as well. Just has increased bolstering to it, confidence-inspiring seating position, but just overall comfort too.
Yeah, again, the rougher the terrain, the more you're going to appreciate the seat shapes and the bolstering. We found that it keeps people in a very good position, but doesn't hold you in place to the point where you feel trapped, and really you can move around a little bit, just that right amount.
Yeah, no doubt. And of course, we also have the interior lighting package. So this is pretty much just a blue machine all around. Everything in there with the blue LED backlit switches, the blue LED floor lighting as well. Just another cool feature to have while you're out there on the trail enjoying and realizing your adventure.
It really makes a big difference in those low light situations or night riding. You know, you drop something on the floor of the vehicle, you can see it. And again, being able to see where you've put the switch. You don't always have to look at the meter. You know exactly where you put the position. You know what you're going to get from the machine, whether it's D mode or on command system. You're going to see it, feel it, and know exactly what the machine's going to give you.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing too I kind of want to touch on, seen some questions out there about the secondary spring that's at the top when it comes to the compression or everything. So I know that there are a few questions on it, but kind of can you explain what that secondary spring does at the top, how it should look, how it's set and everything?
Sure. And you can see on this XTR model here, when the vehicle is under 1G condition or when it's sitting on the ground, this tender spring or the secondary spring is compressed, it's coil bound. So people are like, well, what's it doing? It's not doing anything when it's in that position. And they're right, it's not doing anything. When the vehicle's on the ground, it's not doing anything. We're getting 100% of the vehicle weight is now resting on the primary spring, but as we all know, we don't drive these on flat ground all the time. The vehicle becomes unweighted, the tires come off the ground, so that tender spring actually has a function. It just doesn't have a big function when the vehicle's under its own weight on the ground. You'll notice here, since this vehicle is elevated up off the ground, you can see the tender spring, it's not coil bound and it is providing a function. Again, this is a much softer spring rate than the primary spring. So you can see here, it does provide a function, and it is working, but it just works when the tires off the ground are unweighted.
Which definitely makes total sense in off-road situations, considering how much suspension travel, or how much the suspension is traveling compared to if you're driving a car on the street. You're not really going to notice something like that at all per se, but you at least have so much more travel going on in any off-road situation.
And I know there's a ton of aftermarket companies out there making different spring setups for the Rmax, which again, we appreciate. We want people to get what they're looking for, and everybody has a different usage, and they might have a different usage than what we intended, and awesome. I love that the aftermarket's taken hold of the Rmax and starting to make spring kits for them, because again, it's giving people what they want. They get to make a relatively small change and really get what they're looking for from the Rmax. I'm excited for them to try the new Sport, and I think that it's going to give that sportier customer a lot more of what they're looking for. But again, it adds to the fun of the adjustability and gives people what they're looking for.
Yeah, and then speaking of accessories, so of course we have our full lineup available at shopyamaha.com. That includes windshields, folding windshields, which are in stock right now. Got the half windshield, got the, I'm going to mess this up, HWMPE skid plates that are phenomenal when it comes to off-roading too. Bash plates, AR arm guards, you name it, we've got it. All things that have been tested, developed, and designed by you guys alongside the vehicle. And then we have another new accessory they just launched today. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed it, but I'll let you kind of unveil the honors on that one.
Yeah, the Gytr 4-point harness. Now this is something similar to what we've offered for the YXZ in the past, but what we found is, we started at that point. Let's just see what happens if we put the YXZ setup on the Rmax. But we found that the seating position wasn't ideal. The Rmax does have quite a different seating position than the YXZ. So really the key difference is in the brackets. Of course, the mounting system is a little different than the YXZ, but the positioning of the shoulder straps really has to be set up for the Rmax. So we have a setup where you can, for the 4-seaters as well, you can buy them in packs of 2 or 4 for the rear seats too. And we found that, again, people driving in rougher terrain at higher speeds with the nice padding on the strap really helps add to the comfort. People, again, especially in the Southwest, really enjoy 4-point harnesses. That's something that they look for from a comfort standpoint. And we found that the Rmax customer, again, is appealing to them, and we wanted to offer that for the 2-seat and the 4-seat. So we did a lot of evaluation with these. Again, they really enhance the comfort when you're driving at higher speeds in rougher terrain.
Yeah, so once again, we take the rear seat passengers into consideration when it comes to designing and developing these vehicles, whether it's the 12-volt chargers in the back in the Rmax 41000s, whether it's the adjustable seat belt in the standard versions, or having the option to put in the Gytr, the all-new Gytr 4-point harness kits that you can put in there.
Yeah, and of course it integrates with the seatbelt interlock and all of those things, so it works exactly how the standard 3-point harness works.
Heck yeah. Well, I think for now that kind of covers it for us and what we wanted to talk about, but we know you guys have some questions, that everyone has some questions, so please start dropping those in the comments below and we will start to answer those and everything as well. And while we're waiting on that too, I just want to mention a few of our recent Yamaha Blue Crew champions for 2021. So Chad Wienen won his 8th AMA ATV MX title on his YFZ 450F, or excuse me, YFZ 450R. Congratulations, Chad, there. That is awesome. For the YXC 1000Rs in the Championship Off-Road Series, Brock Hager claimed the Pro Stock Side-by-Side title. Rodney Van Eperen won Pro Mod class. Dylan Marquardt took the Pro-Am win, and then Colin Kearns in the Sportsman Side-by-Side class. He won that one. Congrats to you all from all of us here at Yamaha. Greatly appreciate you guys supporting us out there. Now we just need Walker Fowler, who has a 62-point lead to wrap up the GNCC series for his 7th XC1 Pro ATV title on the YFZ 450R. Not to mention all the YXZ racers finishing up Side-by-Side Sports' King of the Elements series this weekend. And Pete Hall, thank you for tuning in. Looks like we have a question from you. IQS. So yes, we still have the IQS on the LEs. The QS3 is going to be on your XTRs and then your R-Spec versions, but then the Fox 2.0 with the full adjustability, that is going to be on the new sport models. So still have the IQS, just still on the LE models. And again, that's the 3-way, easy, kind of simple to switch. The setup that we have on the sport models, that's more for your sport-minded driver, if you will.
Somebody who wants all that adjustment with the new Fox 2.0 C2 shocks on the Sport. So yeah, no IQS on the Sport.
Exactly. Denny, thank you for tuning in. Would like to hear about the X4. What would you like to hear, Denny? I mean, it's a great vehicle overall, and I tell you what, the thing that I love about the X4, we made a lot of enhancements to it last year where the doors are wider, just the overall quietness of that vehicle. But X2 and X4, great platforms. They are total billy goats. I mean, they can pretty much go anywhere. They're so stinking quiet too when you drive them. I love it.
Yeah, we made those big changes in 2021 that really, a lot of the stuff we learned during developing the Rmax we wanted to bring to the X2 and the X4. So those big changes were made to the X4 and the X2 in 2021.
Which also means a lot of our accessories available on shopyamaha.com also carry over to the X2 and X4.
Absolutely.
Another added benefit. UTV driver, thank you for tuning in, guys. Appears the sport trim goes without Stereo Adventure Pro, etc. Is that correct? Correct. It does not come with the Adventure Pro. It does not come with the stereo system, but obviously if you want to add that to it, upgrade to it, has all the plug and play wiring on it. You get it all on shopyamaha.com, plug it all in, and you're good to go, and you can rock out to your tunes or even plug in your subwoofer and really be listening to the music. I don't know. Buster, thank you. Spare tire carry for the Rmax 4.
Yeah, we don't currently make a spare tire carrier for the Rmax 4. It is something we're definitely looking into. We'd love to get your feedback. Definitely tell us what you're looking for. We've, we made a spare tire carrier for the X4, and we found that some people liked it, but not enough people liked it. So we've actually discontinued the spare tire gear for the X4. We found it really wasn't what people were looking for. We're really looking for feedback from the market on that.
Yeah, so please, I mean, that's kind of another thing about this show right here is that we want you guys' honest feedback. Let us know what you want to see in a spare tire carrier. Let us know what you want to see in other accessories that we may be missing the mark on that you want to see more on too. I mean, please, we value this feedback so much. This is a great way for us to get firsthand feedback from you guys. Tyler, thank you for tuning in as well. Do they come with diff lockers? Oh man, so let's explain and talk about our durable and reliable on-command four-wheel drive system.
Sure, so our rear is always locked, number one. And then on the front side, yeah, like Scott said, going back to the 2002 Yamaha Grizzly 660, we added front differential lock. So going back to 1999, we came out with the on-command system, and we only had a limited slip front differential. But we found that people really wanted a true diff lock, going all the way back to 2002. So ever since then, we've applied that same technology to all of our 4x4 vehicles. Whether it's an ATV or a side-by-side. So yes, you've got two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive limited slip, and then fully locked front differential, all at the flip of a switch or a turn of a dial on the side-by-sides. So yes, once you flip that switch, all four tires are pulling the exact same speed, all that torque's going to all four wheels. It's in that, hence on command, versus some of the other stuff out there relies on wheels being at different speeds or slipping a certain amount and engaging diff lock that way. When you put this vehicle in diff lock, you're getting all four tires pulling at those, getting all the traction you need to all four.
Now, that's the biggest thing too, is that you're getting that connection to the vehicle. You know that if you put it in four-wheel drive, you're going to have a consistent feel. You're not waiting for the tires to slip, engage, and then it finally turning on. It's like, no, you know exactly what it's going to do. It's going to be consistent throughout. And of course, another great thing too is that it's made it to our Ultramatic transmission, which the best part about our lineup is that we have our Yamaha 10-year belt warranty. So I mean, that's something that's unprecedented, it's industry exclusive, and we've been proving it for many decades now, how reliable that system is.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what, I will give a little tip. If you're new to Yamaha side-by-sides or Yamaha ATVs, when you use the on-command system, when you flip it over to diff lock, you'll notice there's a red light that blinks. So when it's not engaged, it's going to blink. So if you give it wide open throttle or give it too much throttle, when it's blinking, it's trying to engage. Since we get true full mechanical lock, if you give it a lot of throttle in that situation, it's going to ignition cut. So it's going to sputter if you try to give it full throttle when it's trying to engage. So once that red light goes solid or it tells you it stops blinking, then you can give it full throttle. You can go as fast as you like. But just remember, if it's not happening as fast as you want it to, it needs to engage those gears together. So turn the steering wheel a little bit, blip the throttle, and once it's engaged, you can get after it.
Yeah, self-preservation mode, I mean, it wants to make sure that the system doesn't break, so you're going to get through that gnarly stuff that you're preparing yourself for. Kevin, thank you again for tuning in. When's the availability of the Sport? That is a phenomenal question, and the Sport will be available October. Right now, you're looking at Rmax 4s for 2022 starting this month, and then pretty much everything else you're looking at October timeframe. So should be soon. Please go in a local Yamaha dealer, and you can place a deposit for one, or even contact us directly on our websites to ask for more information, find a dealer, what have you. We pretty much have everything you need on there. Any other questions? I mean, I greatly appreciate all the feedback, everyone. Like I said, keep on dropping those comments and everything. Appreciate everyone tuning in, all the questions that you do have. Don't see anything else popping up. So before we close out our show, if you want to check out our Adventure Max models in person, we showed off in the last episode. They're back from our Colorado Utah ride that you see here. Phenomenal place we went to out of Gateway Canyon. It's such a cool place to explore. We had high desert one day and then high elevation almost to 11,000 feet the next day. Phenomenal ride. We took some media out there. We had some special Yamaha customers that came out to attend too. They had a cool time too. So if you want to check out those Adventure Max models, they will be headed to Brimstone Paragon event this weekend, and then next weekend at Iron Mountain in Georgia. So if you're going to be the Tennessee, Georgia area, come out, check those things out. I think we'll be giving out a lot of the free swag too out of the vehicles. So all the more reason to come check it out. Not to mention just hang out with some Yamaha people. I like to think that we're kind of nice and cool, but I don't know. I guess that's personal opinion. Otherwise, that's it for tonight. Appreciate the time, everyone, and the questions. Can't wait to see you on the next Yamaha live show or even on the trails. As always, let us know what you'd like us to cover in the future. Drop your thoughts on today's episode in the comments below. Don't forget to like and follow at Yamaha Outdoors across all social channels, as well as subscribe to the Yamaha Outdoors podcast. Check out our stylish apparel, Yamaha genuine accessories, and Yamaloot on shopyamaha.com. And find out more on our full proven off-road lineup at yamahaoutdoors.com. Pat, you got anything else before we close?
No, I'm good. Thanks, Scott.
All right, right on. Thank you, everyone. Happy adventures. See you on the trails, and thank you again.